Good afternoon. On the eve of the 57th March on Washington, I will speak about the recent events in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the wildfires raging across the California coast to the Rocky Mountains, the storm, which is working its way through Texas, Louisiana, and the Gulf Coast, and most of all, about who we are as a country. We are a nation that at its best loves, protects, and helps our fellow Americans. Today, we see pain, hurt, and destruction in the ashes of wildfires and the damage of Hurricane Laura. We encourage everyone to continue following guidance from your local authorities to stay safe, and Joe and I pledge to be there for those whose lives have been turned upside down, those who will need help from neighbors, strangers, and our government to make it through, to build back, to restore your lives and your communities. We also see pain, hurt, and destruction in the aftermath of yet another black man shot by police. Jacob Blake, shot 7 times in the back in broad daylight in front of his 3 young sons. 7 times in the back in broad daylight in front of his 3 young sons. As Vice President Biden put it, the shots fired at Mr. Blake pierced the soul of our nation. It's sickening to watch. It's all too familiar, and it must end. Thankfully, he is alive today, but he is fighting for his life, and he shouldn't have to be. My heart goes out to the Blake family as they endure an ordeal that is tragically common in our country. Joe and I spoke with them yesterday. They are an amazing group of people with extraordinary courage. Even in their pain and their grief, even as they seek justice for their son, they spoke about the need to end the violence and heal our nation. I've had conversations like this with far too many mothers and fathers, but you will see and hear no one with more courage, more character, and more moral clarity. People are rightfully angry and exhausted. And after the murders of Breonna and George and Ahmaud and so many others, it's no wonder people are taken to the streets. And I support them. We must always defend peaceful protest and peaceful protesters. We should not confuse them with those looting and committing acts of violence, including the shooter who was arrested for murder. And make no mistake, we will not let these vigilantes and extremists derail the path to justice. Here's my promise to those mothers and fathers and all who stand with them. In a Biden-Harris administration, you will have a seat at the table, in the halls of Congress and in the White House. We all grew up reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, but now we must give real meaning to its words. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Justice. Let's talk about that. Because the reality is that the life of a black person in America has never been treated as fully human. And we have yet to fulfill that promise of equal justice under law. We will only achieve that when we finally come together to pass meaningful police reform and broader criminal justice reform and acknowledge, yes, acknowledge and address systemic racism. We will only come closer to achieving that when we finally come together. We have come a long way in our country.